Thanks to our friends at The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Check out the link below, fool.com/The Smattering, to get access to the 10 best stocks to buy right now. Late 2021, the reality is that, like so many other tech stocks, so many of these other growthy, cloud-based growth stocks, Shopify, the stock was ahead of itself, right? In hindsight, it's easy to look back and say that. But there's another factor at play, Jeff, and that's the reality that Shopify has started to evolve and transform away from just that core high margin software as a service business that lives in the cloud that you can get incredible operating leverage and really, really high profit margins, to a business that also is going to operate distribution centers, have to deploy a lot of capital to build them, you have to staff them. And those things are going to change the economic model of the business, right? And they're going to weigh on its return profile. And I think a lot of investors, number one, just question the viability. 1A, question their ability to execute on it. And then 2, are trying to figure out what is the economic profile going to look like and what is the company going to be worth in 10 years.
So if I have my history right, this is a similar transition that Amazon made over the course of its history, where it started out doing the e-commerce piece that we all have become familiar with, but over the past decade or two, they've really built out the distribution network and the fulfillment. So that's how we can all get everything delivered to our house in 1 or 2 days. And so if Shopify's doing a similar shift or going through a similar shift, do you feel that they have enough of a lead, kind of like Amazon did, to be able to get through that? Or do they run the risk of losing some ground to some other websites that are helping shoppers as well? Like I know Wix and Squarespace do some similar things too. Like, is that a risk for them, or do you think they had enough of a lead when they took this shift to kind of get through it?
So I think it's a little bit different situation for Shopify today than it was for Amazon. I mean, if we're honest and we look at Amazon, it was always competing, right? Because always competing, when you're in retail, you're always competing against whoever's selling the same good, whether they're selling it in the bookstore on the corner, or it's Walmart in their books section, or now it's Best Buy with Electra, and all of the things that they have now. They were always competing against somebody, but they were competing with themselves more than anybody else to quickly do a land grab, right? So the difference now is that everybody's doing this too, right? Walmart is doing a big e-commerce push. Target, you have Wayfair, right? You have a lot of other companies that either are trying to exist just on the internet or are trying to leverage their existing geographical footprint as a logistics advantage, right? So if you think about Walmart or even Target too, and Home Depot, you're already within 20 minutes of 80% of the U.S. population, right? All you need is the last mile, right? If you're a small business that's a Shopify merchant and you're in Dubuque and you have a customer in Tennessee, Shopify still has to proliferate all of those logistics endpoints, right? So it's very much swimming upstream against a lot of competition to do that. So I think that's different. And again, Amazon had to start deploying those physical locations from the beginning of its journey, right? And for Shopify, it started the other way around. It deployed the tech stack first, and now it's doing the physical thing. And then with Amazon, the tech stack is now Amazon Web Services, right? Which is its high margin business, that is its fastest growing part of the business, that is its growth driver today, right? So it's kind of almost like an inverted thing, thinking about those two businesses. How has it changed the way I think about it? This is one of my favorite companies to follow. I think it's the most interesting. Consumer commerce is gigantic. And by and large, this is still mostly a US-based company. It does some business internationally, but still the bulk of its business is in the United States. And that means that there is a massive long tailwind of growth for it, because small and medium-sized businesses are always going to be a major source of this sort of commerce. And there really isn't anybody that's doing the full kit, right? including the fulfillment and the logistics offerings for those small businesses. And I think if they can execute on it, if they can do it, the future is really, really bright for Shopify's shareholders. It's just going to be a bumpy next couple of years until they prove to enough investors and enough of the market that they can do it, that we see the company become a little bit more in favor.